I never expected a maid's prayer for my coma-bound daughter to turn my life upside down. I will never forget the day everything fell apart. Standing there in that sterile hospital room, the air thick with sadness, I felt my heart shatter into a million pieces. My daughter, Lila, lay there, unresponsive, lifeless, her small frame barely moving beneath the white sheets. Machines beeped rhythmically, an eerie heartbeat that reminded me she was still here, yet also painfully distant. I could barely breathe, tears streamed down my cheeks as I clutched her hand, feeling her cold skin against mine. Time had twisted, drawn out, suffocating me in this terrifying reality. I remember the whispers. The nurses talked about the maid, Clara, who worked nights and cleaned the floors. She had a soft spot for Lila. I never thought much about it. But that evening, Clara smudged the floor with something unusual, an old pendant, shining with mystique, that she claimed protected the sick. I watched her as she prayed quietly over Lila's still form, hands trembling, eyes wet with unshed tears. I felt the air shift, like a gust of wind before a storm, as she spoke softly. "Please, don't let her go. She is meant for great things." Those words hung in the air, thick with conviction. Could a simple prayer pull my daughter back from the dark depths? Part of me wanted to laugh, but desperation clawed at my insides, twisting like a knife. I glanced at Clara's face, distorted by hope and fear. It felt like a warning. The room was heavy with the weight of her plea. What if? An echo in my mind sparked a crazy sense of longing. What if this simple maid held a key to a miracle? Suddenly, Lila's heart monitor began to spike. My heart raced. I pushed through the frail silence, my voice shaking. "Is she?" But Clara's eyes were closed, her hands flickering above my daughter's face. The room darkened as a shadow slid across the wall. I blinked and the shadow was gone, but confusion clouded my thoughts. Then I remembered Clara. How she was always at the church, praying with candles lit, whispering to the stars. Was she really who she claimed to be? Or did she carry secrets, hidden depths that could unearth mysteries I dared not explore? My heart pounded. Just then, Lila stirred. I gasped, a mixture of hope and fear gripping my chest. Her eyelids fluttered slightly, and my breath caught like a lifeline. But as I leaned in closer, straining to hear her voice, the lights flickered wildly, plunging the room into darkness. The machine shrieked, and terror enveloped me. Deep within that darkness, I felt laughter echoing, chilling laughter that was neither mine nor Clara's. I stumbled back, hands trembling, heart racing. Could Clara really harness something beyond this world? What was happening? My life was unraveling, stitched together with a maid's prayer and shaded by shadows of secrets I couldn't unravel. Was Lila returning to me, or was I being drawn into a nightmare I could never wake up from? Hey, before we continue with this amazing story, I need to give you an important heads up. Many subscribers have reported that YouTube unsubscribed them without warning. Take a quick second to check the red button below to make sure you're still subscribed to the channel. I'd hate for you to miss any of the exclusive content coming soon. And while you're there, smash that like button, it really helps me out with the algorithm. Oh, and tell me in the comments, which city are you watching from? I love getting to know every amazing person who's part of this community. Your participation makes all the difference. Let's connect. The darkness settled heavily around me, each second stretching into an eternity. The shrieks of the machines reverberated through my chest like thunderous echoes of doom. I felt my fingers clutching Lila's limp hand so desperately, as if I could will warmth back into her small body through sheer will alone. And then, through the crackling chaos, I heard Ida whisper that barely reached my ears, yet seemed to pulse with power and fragility. "Mommy." That single word was both a balm and a dagger. I leaned closer, heart racing. Had I truly heard her? The laughter faded into the silence, leaving behind a haunting resonance. I grabbed Clara's arm, still transfixed on my daughter. Did you hear that?" My voice cracked against the weight of fear striking me deep. Clara opened her eyes slowly, revealing a well of emotions that fought each other in her gaze: hope, fear, desperation. Her brows knit together, concern carving deeper lines on her face. I felt it, too. The energy, it's shifting. With her words, the lights flickered back to life, illuminating the stark reality of sterile walls and medical equipment. Still, Lilith's eyes remained shut. The monitors returned to their ominous beeping, a mechanical heartbeat that felt cruel in its normalcy. What do we do? The words tumbled out, laced with urgency. My heart was racing, synapses firing wildly as I processed the weight of the moment. Clara, please, if you have any influence over this, just make her wake up. Clara took a breath, steadying herself, her resolve hardening. We need to beckon the connection between your hearts, she insisted. Not just through commands and pleas, but with love and memory. Let her know you're here, and remind her of the world waiting for her. I closed my eyes, drawing on every cherished memory of Lila. Her laughter echoed in my mind, bursting like sunlight through a dense fog. The way her face lit up when seeing rainbows after storms, or the way she squeezed my hand tight when she was scared. I could still smell the sweet fruit of the ice pops we used to share on hot summer days. Lila, I whispered, my voice breaking. Do you remember our park? The swings we used to race to? I'm here, sweetheart. Your favorite book is right beside you. The one with the dragon who saves the princess. You can finish that story with me just like we always do. As if woven within the fabric of my words, an energy surged through the room. Clara reached for my hand, clasping it firmly within her own. Together, we anchored ourselves to the moment, pulling hope from the depths of darkness. But then I felt the room chilled, a sharp breath against the back of my neck. The lights flickered again, and I sensed something else, an undeniable presence, lurking just beyond the periphery of my vision. My heart dropped as I remembered the echoes of laughter. I opened my eyes, the urgency flooding back, tugging at my heartstrings. Mommy, Lilith's voice was a whisper, fading like a leaf in the wind. Please, Lila. Stay with me. I shouted, my voice breaking. The machines wailed, a cacophony of sounds reflecting my growing dread. And then Clara turned, her expression shifting dramatically. No, it's not just her. Something is here with us, something angry. Just then, the shadows elongated across the walls, and I felt a weight pressing down upon me. Clara's grip on my hand tightened. It doesn't want her to return, she breathed, fear lacing her voice. Who what? I stammered, eyes darting around the room, searching for a foe that was invisible and yet palpable. Clara closed her eyes once more, her voice trembling as she began to chant softly, words spilling from her like a stream, a prayer desperate for clarity. I clung to Lilith's hand, aching for connection, for a sign that she was still fighting. I whispered promises I didn't know I could make, off trips to the beach, of laughter around dinner tables, of ice cream on summer nights. Suddenly, the lights dimmed, plunging us into yet another prison of darkness. The laughter I had heard twisted around me again, louder this time, a cacophony of shadows swirling through the room. I felt the air grow heavy, suffocating. My breath caught as a presence brushed against me, sharp and chilling. Mommy, run. Lilith's voice rang clear, yet distant, a fragile flame desperately calling from the other side. I froze, my mind racing. What was happening? And somewhere deep inside me, a dread unfurled, an unsettling knowledge that this was only the beginning. In that fleeting moment, a surge of energy coursed through my veins, a visceral mixture of panic and profound love pushing me forward. I would not let this darkness take Hera. Mother's resolve surged within me. But as I prepared to push deeper into the shadows, another sharp breath escaped my lips, and Clara's eyes widened in horror. Out of the darkness emerged a figure, tall and shrouded, eyes glowing with a predatory fervor. And for the first time I realized we were not alone in this fight. The cliff I stood upon was crumbling, and the chasm beneath was deep and dark, with secrets yet to be revealed. My heart thudded in my chest as trepidation overwhelmed me once more, and in my gut, I wondered what price would have to be paid to save my daughter. The figure loomed, its eyes like twin embers against the encroaching darkness, pulsating with a hunger that felt ancient. I pressed my lips together, trying to steady the tremor in my hands. Clara, still grasping my other hand, shuddered, her energy wavering like the flickering lights above us. The air crackled, a tension woven tightly around us, leaving no space for doubt or rational thought. Mommy! Lilith's voice flared once more, a desperate plea that rippled through the air. The shadows shifted closer, as if drawn toward that single, heart-wrenching cry. Please, run, I glanced at Clara. We can't leave her. My voice sounded stronger than I felt. The presence morphed, momentarily shifting in my peripheral vision, and every instinct screamed for me to flee, to shield my daughter from whatever darkness had been unleashed. Mommy, Lila repeated, her voice growing weaker, and in that moment, whatever courage I had pulled up from the depths of my being began spilling into shards of fear. The silhouette folded forward, inches away, a ghastly reminder of how fragile and perilous our situation had become. Clara took a deep breath, and in that instant, her fear removed shadows of doubt, revealing determination in her eyes. We need to protect her, but we can't do it alone, the words hung in the air, echoing in the dim light. It was a rallying cry amid pandemonium and terror, yet I felt the gravity of despair pull at me, grounding me to the relentless inertia of hopelessness. What do you mean? I rasped, sensing the urgency underlying her whispered intent, but before Clara could respond, the figure lunged forward, the glowing eyes fixated on me, tearing my affection from the depths of my heart and twisting it into something sinister. I felt the air warp around us, chilling to the core, a reminder of the fine line between light and darkness that now separated my little girl from what surrounded us. Lila! Come back! I shouted again and again, desperate to create a bridge, something tangible that would tether her to the love woven within our memories. Yet with each heartbeat, I felt a fragment of my resolve loosening, sinking into the abyss of fear. Then I felt Clara's grip shift. She seemed to orient herself, resolutely intertwined with the energy of the room, eyes closed in concentration, her lips murmuring soft words that I couldn't quite grasp. I sensed a warmth radiating from her, a flicker of light in the oppressive gloom. Together, she urged, her breath steady, almost melodic. Hold on to the love, your memories are stronger than the fear. Focus on her. I thought of Lilith's laughter, her fierce courage, and a smile that lit up even the darkest days. Lila, I murmured, still clutching her small hand. You can do this. Remember the dances we shared? The way you twirled around the living room like you were soaring? I closed my eyes, evoking each moment, the mud-soaked afternoons building castles, the shorn summer evenings under a starlit sky. The memories flooded me, powerful as a stream released from a dam, collapsing upon itself only to make a richer current. Remember the story of the dragon? You're my brave little princess, and you're never alone. We're all fighting for you. There, held in that memory, I sensed a shimmer of pulse of energy beneath my fingertips. I opened my eyes, and within that fragile connection, I recognized the tendrils of Lilith's spirit, brighter than before. Mommy, it was stronger now, resonating with the echoes of our love, intertwining with the chant emerging from Clara's lips. But the figure watched, unblinking, absorbing every ounce of light with a void that threatened to consume the very essence of heart and hope. With each whispered retelling of our time together, I witnessed Lilith's heart pulse against the dim chaos, a beacon desperately probing through the shadows, and just when I dared to believe that my love could pierce through the darkness, a shriek echoed in defiance. The figure, now almost grotesque in its eerie demeanor, took a swinging step forward, disrupting the fragile balance of our bond. The shadows writhed, laced with malicious intent like coils of smoke ready to consume anything that dared challenge it. Get away from my daughter! I screamed, my heart blazing. The air crackled as I felt Clara's energy flicker like a dying candle flame, and desperation flooded my veins. I squeezed Lilith's hand harder, willing the connection tighter as if it were a lifeline. In that moment of chaos, my heart quickened, realizing what it meant to fight. But even as I stacked memories against darkness, I could sense the suffocating weight of the figure press forward, its dark intentions revealing a singular purpose. Clara's chant began to falter, her strength wavering like mine beneath the encroaching pressure. We needed together, but the lightning crack of tension snapped in the air, and I faltered into a moment of stark realization. Something within me recognized that the fight was tethered deeper than I had yet dared to acknowledge. Just as the predatory eyes of the figure locked onto Lila once more, the room clattered in a tumult of despair, and without warning, a harsh clarity seized my heart. The shadows stirred restlessly as I felt Clara's grip loosen, her breathing shallow. Mommy, listen. She gasped, eyes widening in panic, her voice thin as the gossamer threads connecting us all. Suddenly, the darkness erupted, a force unyielding and desperate, swallowing Clara's voice whole. In the distance, Lila's cry broke through the cacophony to shatter the silence. "Mommy, please, I can't hold on." Time froze, uncertainty flooding my veins as electricity crackled deeper in the chaos, and the truth surfaced. A shadow from my past was awakening. I steeled myself against the dread, knowing that with each heartbeat, the cost would grow heavier. One drawn breath could tip the scale between light and darkness. In that moment, I understood rescue was not the end of this journey, but the very beginning. As shadows tightened their grip around Clara and engulfed the room in chaos, I braced myself, knowing the price I might have to pay to save my daughter could be greater than I ever anticipated. The ground trembled beneath me, a visceral reminder that time was slipping through my fingers like sand, each grain marked with fear and heartbreak. Lila's voice, though soft, reverberated in the corners of my mind, urging me to act as shadows danced and flickered, eager to consume everything it touched. "Mommy!" The sound of her cry surged through me like a wave crashing against a rock. With renewed clarity, I concentrated on the threads that tied us, love threaded through laughter, joy echoing in our shared moments. But deep down, I felt the tremors of doubt, clawing at the edges of my resolve, an insidious reminder of my failures, each whisper of trepidation claiming to pull me back into despair. "Clara!" I shouted, my voice tearing through the tumult, seeking her strength. "Focus on the light. We can fight this together." The moment we began to chant again, I could feel Lila's spirit flickering, a candle against the tempest of shadows. Clara's face twisted with determination, though I could see the dimming spark in her eyes. "We need Lila to fight, to hold on to her hope." She fought against the encroaching darkness, summoning every ounce of her remaining energy into the words. "Lila, you are stronger than this." But as she spoke, the figure darted closer, inflating its presence, each inch forward igniting a fire of panic within me. I dared not look away from Clara's face as I felt my heart plummet, terror rushing between us like an uninvited gale. It was a storm of malevolence, intent on extinguishing our hopes. "Remember when we made cookies?" I desperately called out to Lila, conjuring images of flour dusting our noses and giggles echoing through the kitchen. The heat of our shared laughter surged forth, but the figure flinched, its monstrous visage shifting with dark intent. "You're my magic girl, your spirit can break the darkest spell, Mommy." Lila's voice came through louder now, a tremulous promise against the tempest threatening to engulf her. I could see her rising against the shadows, drawing strength from our shared memories, each recollection pulling at the fabric of darkness binding her. "Listen to your heart, Lila," I urged, forging further, clinging to the bonds of our love that I believed could not be severed by this creature. "We're here with you. Remember our adventures? The go-karts, the princess costumes, your endless bravery. Nothing can snuff out your light." Then a sudden explosion of sound rattled through the air, drowning my words in an overwhelming cacophony. "Shut up!" The figure's growl resonated through the chamber, distorting our warmth and threatening to snip the fragile cords holding us together. "She belongs to me." In the spasm of chaos, Clara staggered back, her chant faltering as she struggled against the coils of shadow suffocating her will. "We need to," she gasped, pain etched on her brow. My heart raced as I sensed the perilous pivot of the battle ebbing away, the darkness weaving tighter around her like a noose, removing her light piece by piece. A flicker of desperation propelled me toward her. "No. Clara, keep fighting." I reached for her, clasping her hand tightly, but it felt slippery as if our unity was being dissolved. "I can't hold on for long," she managed, her breath a mere wisp against the growing storm. "You have to be brave for Lila." Just then, the likes of which we had not anticipated came through the chaos. A raspy voice, feeble yet persistent, emerged from the depths. "Mommy." Clara. Lila's voice was a mere whisper that resonated and bounced against the walls like fragile glass. "Please don't give up on me." Like a lifeline cast into deep waters, the realization struck me as something stirring from the back of my mind, a forgotten memory swirling through the shadows. I had known once the darkness we faced, a long-dormant truth now clawing to the surface. This being was not new, it was an echo of my own doubts and fears, feeding on my insecurities. I had unwittingly invited it in by giving it power over my heart. "I won't let you take her," I screamed again, a fierce declaration over the howling void. My determination surged from the depths of my soul as I turned to Clara. "Can you hear me? Lila needs us." With a sudden, intense rush, I felt warmth sweep through my fingertips, a flicker of brightness, renewed strength rippling in our bond. "Send it back, together," Clara called, her eyes sparking with renewed determination amidst the turmoil. The veil of darkness flickered. "No!" the figure shrieked, rage swelling as if each timeless memory we fought against was cutting through the shadows, exposing the very fabric of its existence. Then, as if woven from the threads of love I clung to, I pictured its form beginning to retreat against our onslaught. The fight rekindled within Lila. "I love you. You can push it away," I shouted, my voice a clarion call within the maelstrom. But then came a horrifying revelation, piercing through my thoughts, a fragmented, insistent voice slipping from the depths of my consciousness, revealing the truth that had echoed through forgotten corridors of my mind. "Mommy, Clara, you don't understand." "What? What is it?" I gasped, grappling with the sudden tremor of dread that clawed at my heart. Clara's grasp tightened on mine, an anchor against the barrage of darkness that seemed to electrify the air. "Don't let it go. We are the light," the shadows roared, rage morphing their seething mass. And as Lila's true voice rang out, piercing through the shadows, a new reality dawned upon Maid'S with both horror and clarity, compounded by uncertainty. "It's not you I want, but you have to understand, you have to let go." I froze, the words coiling tightly around me as darkness pulsed forward, both familiar and foreign, as if from my own fears, pressing against our last resort of courage. Everything trembled in an instant as Lila's plea echoed against the backdrop of shadow, demanding an answer I feared to confront. Beside me, Clara became a flicker of light, her energy still fighting the encroaching gloom, but I felt the weight of Lilith's reality pressing against my soul. "What do you mean?" The moment hung suspended as if everything the love we fought to reclaim teetered on the edge of a precipice. And as I looked into the shadows, deep inside, I recognized this was not just a fight for Lila, but for myself as well. And as the darkness loomed ever closer, ready to devour us whole, I heard Lilith's voice once more. "Mommy, please, you have to decide which fear you'll face." With my breath caught painfully in my throat, the realization settled over me like a heavy shroud, and the shadows began to dance faster. I stood at the crossroads of a choice that would alter everything, not just for Lila, but for Clara and for me as well. Desperation surged anew as the figure advanced, determined to consume our light. I took a breath, knowing that whatever I chose may cost more than I was willing to pay. The love that once shielded me felt frayed at the edges, yet my heart raced with the promise of hope. The next seconds would decide our fate, a harrowing plunge into the unknown, changes waiting within the folds of my heart that would echo for eternity. The darkness pressed forward, drawing near, an invitation to submit. But at that moment, I knew that if I were to face what Lila truly wanted, we would have to embrace the uncertainty together. With trembling fingers unyielding around Clara's hand, I braced myself for the journey that lay ahead. The shadows roared around us, an angry tide of fear and despair, a tempest rising to swallow my resolve. I could feel Clara's unwavering grip, her strength fighting to hold me above the swirling depths. "We need to push back," she urged, her voice a fragile thread stitching together our fragmenting courage. But I was frozen, the weight of Lilith's words anchoring me in indecision. As the darkness surged closer, a suffocating breath of cold air clawed at my skin, and I struggled to push through the chaos of my thoughts. Lila's plea echoed incessantly, pulling threads of memory into sharp focus, the soft brush of her fingers against my cheek, the way her laughter danced in the air like a bright note in a somber song. "We have to keep fighting, Clara," I whispered finally, my heart pounding against the cage of my chest. "But what does she mean? What is it that I need to let go of?" The figure writhed nearby, its form shifting into a grotesque reflection of my fears, its voice slithering through the air like venom. "It's simple. You are drowning yourself in this love, burying your pain until it festers," it hissed, each word punctuated with malice, each syllable pricking like needles. "You cannot save her if you refuse to save yourself. Her spirit belongs to the shadows now. Stop," I shouted, my voice breaking, the reached-out echoes finding not just Clara, but soaking into the very marrow of our essence, binding us together. "You are not her truth. You cannot take what you did not create." As the figure recoiled, its mass momentarily curling back into itself, I dared to look at Clara. She met my gaze, a spark igniting in the depths of her stormy blue eyes. We can't let it win. It thrives on our doubts, and you've always been the strongest among us, she said fiercely, kindness intertwining with her strength. Remember how we fought for Lila before? We can find a way again, we just need to dig deeper, I nodded, drawing the heat of her words close like a feeble flame. There was no room for retreat now. The shadows might be encroaching, but amongst the chaos, a glimmer of clarity emerged. Lila needed us, and I needed to confront the truth buried within me. Lila, can you hear me? I called, my voice imbued with desperation. The darkness pulsed around us, a kaleidoscope of fears and shadows that threatened to smother any flicker of light. I'm here, and I want to help you. Tell me what you need. I'll fight for you, just don't let go. The dreadful silence that followed felt like an eternity, but then I heard Ida gentle whisper, barely discernible beneath the wail of the tempest. Mommy, I don't want you to be afraid anymore. You need to face the truth. You need to forgive yourself. A deep ache unfurled in my chest. Forgive myself? The words crashed into my heart like a tidal wave. Could I truly begin to untangle the guilt that clung to me like ivy, the myriad of what-ifs that had corroded my spirit? Had I failed her by carrying this burden for too long, allowing it to twist my love into something that nearly suffocated us both? Can you show me? I ventured, a tremor of hope rising within my chest. The quality of the light in my heart had wavered for so long. Perhaps Lila had the key, perhaps my willingness to confront my pain was the path to unravel her darkness. I'm ready, Lila. Help me understand what I need to let go of. The shadows immediately raged, recoiling, furious at the very act of my vulnerability. The malevolent form shrieked as if my surrender was a Crimea blasphemy against the darkness, and yet, amidst the chaos, I felt Clara's hand squeezing mine tighter, weaving our spirits together against the storm. Do it. Clara's voice cut sharply into the tempest, encouragement and desperation intermingling. Let her in. We have to unearth the light within. Beneath the storm's cacophony, a warm pulse began to resonate within me, reaching toward Lila's spirit. Come back, Lila. Trust me, we can do this. The surge began to soften the edges of my heart, illuminating the darkened corners where shadows lingered. I closed my eyes, surrendering to the memories that rushed in, brushing across my consciousness 1,000 moments of laughter, of joy, of pain. And beneath it all lay an aching truth of fierce love mixed with guilt, but buried alongside it was the possibility of healing, respect, and grace. In that moment of clarity, I understood how tightly I had woven my worth around Lila's well-being, how my fears had created a dual prison for both of us. Tentatively, I pressed onward, feeling the light unfurl within me. I forgive myself, Lila. For all the moments I faltered, for the decisions I made in fear, for not trusting that our love could withstand anything. I want to let go of this burden so I can be the mother you deserve. The shadow writhed violently, as if battling against a tide ever shifting in my favor. But just as I thought the light might drown it, I heard Lila's voice crescendoing amongst the chaos. It's okay, Mommy. Just hold on. Suddenly, the darkness erupted in a violent surge, a whirlwind of anguish that swept Clara from my side, her surprised gasp lost in the tumult. I reached out, but her visage brightened just before it was eclipsed, glowing momentarily before the shadows cloaked her away. Panic surged through me. Clara! I screamed, desperation lacing my words like poison. The overwhelming darkness closed around me, encasing me in whispers that tore at my resolve, but I clutched tightly to the light I had summoned. Fierce determination ignited within me. No. You will not take her. A newfound strength surged through my veins as I grasped for Lila's spirit, pulling her essence toward the underscores of my very being. And then, as the shadows roared with anger, I felt Clara's light flicker away, swallowed by the void, a chilling uncertainty washing over me. Mommy! Lila's voice softened, the distance between us stretching, trembling on the precipice of silence. You have to find me before it's too late. The world around me began to fracture, the darkness roiling like a storm-tossed sea as I fought against the encroaching void that threatened to consume us. My heart raced, propelled by the love that filled my soul, only to be met with a grueling question: could I truly surpass the dark, now wrapping around me like inescapable chains, Before I could respond, the shadows surged with renewed ferocity, crashing forward to shroud everything in darkness, leaving me gasping, suspended between the worlds of light and shadow, clutching the threads of hope I feared might soon fray beyond repair. The abyss whispered promises of despair as I clung to the last threads of light flickering within me. Lila's voice echoed gently in the depths of my soul, an unyielding reminder of love's resilience against the tide of shadows. But as panic clawed at my chest, a different kind of fear seized me, own rooted in uncertainty. Clara's absence rippled through the air like a broken chord, its haunting echo reminding me of the fragility of our connection. Lila, I won't let you go. I shouted into the dark void, my heart racing against the pulse of dread surrounding me. But even as I fought to maintain my tether to her, I could feel the chills creeping beneath my skin and the weight pulling me further away from her essence. Somewhere in the clamor of swirling darkness, a glimmer caught my eye. It was soft at first, a delicate flicker barely emerging from the chaos. As I strained my eyes to focus, it grew stronger, revealing not only the shape of the light but a figure encased within. The glow pulsed with warmth and familiarity, beckoning me onward. Clara? I whispered, questions swirling in my mind. Is that you? But the shadows twisted around the figure, their tendrils trying to smother the light, each throb pressing against my heart, threatening to extinguish the fragile hope that surged with its brilliance. Unexpectedly, the hand reached through the darkness, its warmth suffused me, reminding me of the way Clara had held me with unwavering faith in our darkest moments. I am here, someone replied, an echo of Clara's voice whispered with newfound strength. It mingled with the sound of my heart, each beat an affirmation that reverberated against the shadows. You need to remember, we have always fought together. With every ounce of hope, I stretched outward, joining our essence in an invisible embrace. The light from Clara fought valiantly against the consuming darkness, illuminating fragments of memories that had slipped through my grasp, laughter rippling through the air, moments of celebration, and the quiet understanding found in the spaces between our words. Clara, I'm so scared, I admitted, the vulnerability slicing through me like jagged glass. What if I can't find Lila? What if we lose everything? Fear is a part of our journey, but we have to choose courage, she urged, her love emanating through the shadows that threatened to close around us. Remember, love can shatter darkness, just as light emerges from the cracks. Collecting my breath, I forced my gaze onto the darkness that loomed ahead. I choose love. I believe in it. I believe in Lila. Each declaration pushed with renewed determination into the night, splintering through the wall of anxiety that threatened to engulf me whole. Where are you, my sweet girl? I need you. Suddenly, like the striking of lightning, the world shifted beneath me. I felt myself being pulled, drawn toward Clara's light while the depth of shadows twisted in protest. The darkness roared with rage, unfurling like claws against my skin, but in that moment, hope transmogrified into a celestial map illuminating a winding path, one that led me closer to Lila. But just as clarity struck, a voice broke through the dark, colliding into me with a force that sent me reeling. Stop. You can't let the light guide you. A suffocating fear enveloped me, pinching at the edges of my consciousness. It was the same dreadful figure, no longer a mere shadow but an entity desperately clawing to keep me at bay. Lila is a captive of her own creation. Your love cannot save her. It only deepens her chains. I could feel the weight of its words, each syllable heavy and unforgiving. Don't you dare speak to me of love, I spat, forcing a defiant spirit into my words. Love transcends even the darkest shadows. I will not give in. Lightning arced through the darkness. Clara's spirit shot forth, illuminating the void, revealing layers of the entity's real form. Twisted hearts pulsing in rhythmic agony, the lament of mothers who had loved too fiercely, only to discover that their fears imprisoned those they adored. It was true, love could both bind and liberate, but only if wielded with understanding and faith. The chill swept through me and anger ignited into an undeniable force. You will not have me. My love is free, Lilith's love is free. The shadows writhed, recoiling from my unyielding resolve, emboldened by Clara's warmth around me. Then believe in her, not only as a daughter but as a spirit fiercely craving her own flight, Clara urged, just as shadows flitted indignantly. We must rip the cage apart, together. In that moment, I felt Lila all around me. Fleeting images danced upon the lake of my heart, flickering with potential a glimmer of her forsaken freedom. "If you're with me, Lila, guide me to you, Mommy," came her soft reply, but it was electrifying, wrapping around my heart, coursing through the memories web-woven. "You must trust me. I'm waiting, but the shadows hold the truth of what we need to face." With a surge of courage guided by her voice, I summoned the light of our shared love and thrust it forward, breaking against the dark like a beacon. The shadows that had sought to drown me began to unravel, revealing fragments of memories that I had shut away. No longer mere agony, they were filled with lessons, each one a piece of what had once chained my heart. The darkness began to retreat, snapping back, revealing a trace of silver wispy glimmer suspended just beyond reach. My breath caught in my throat as dawn broke over the horizon of despair. Behind it lay the promise of truth, a truth that held the key to Lila's freedom, a truth that awaited my embrace. But, just then, a thunderous wail erupted from the shadows, drowning my thoughts in horror. "You will pay for this defiance." The malevolent figure howled, its voice a savage storm. And amid that accusation, I felt the presence of edges of the darkness shifting, curdling around Clara's light, encroaching ever closer. A realization struck like a dagger to my heart. Shadows were born not just from fear, but also from the thick cloak of guilt I had worn for too long. Suddenly, I felt the burden of that realization and understood that this fight wasn't just for Lil. It was a fight for my own release, a fight for Clara, and most importantly, a fight for the truth of who we truly were beneath the darkness. The ground trembled as I stood resolutely in my choice, a decision forged by love. My heart thundered with its own rhythm as I beckoned Clara back from the brink, reaching for the spark that would ignite our unity once again. But as I stepped forward, shadows surged behind me, pieces of utter darkness that threatened to devour my resolve whole. "You cannot escape the consequences," it roared, and I felt the earth beneath me tremble with the weight of its warning. And out of that impending void, a chilling realization settled against my heart. If Clara and I could liberate Lila, would we simultaneously risk our own entrapment in the very chains of darkness we fought to unbind? The shimmering trail of light, tangled with the essence of Clara and memories of our past, illuminated a path that danced through the shadows. Each step I took felt heavy under the weight of dread. The shadows murmured just beyond the veil, clawing at my resolve with whispers of doubt mingled with the taste of despair. "Mommy," Lila's voice echoed again, more distant this time, like a haunting refrain caught in the wind. It tugged at the edges of my heart, urging me onward, yet I could feel the dark tendrils tightening around me with every pulse of my resolve. "I believe in you, sweetheart," I whispered, my voice shaking, hoping she could hear the truth behind my words. Yet, the entity's callous laughter rippled through the air, a cruel reminder that belief alone was often not enough. "You hold on to false hope," it taunted, shifting closer as the light waned. "Every step you take toward Lila is a step deeper into her cage. You've already lost her, just as you've lost Clara once before. They are both gone, they were never meant to fly." "Stop!" I shouted, drawing strength from Clara's gentle presence. I felt her warmth encasing me, where shadows threatened to engulf me in their icy grip. "You don't get to decide who is lost," the shadows writhed and twisted. In that chaos, I caught my breath and remembered memories of Clara's laughter ringing like chimes through sunlit afternoons, Lila's first steps and the joyous tears that followed, the weight of every hug shared, every silent prayer exchanged between us, love that breathed even within moments of despair. "You will never understand," I said, my voice carrying an unexpected steadiness. "You are nothing but a cacophony of fear and resentment." "But fear fades, love lives on." The entity recoiled, but the darkness continued to encroach, growing thicker, more tangible. Each shadow felt like a heartbeat, a pulse of anger and hurt wrapping tighter around my throat. "You think you are free because you love? Love was what bound Clara to you. It was what trapped her to maintain your fragile world of illusions. Clara chose love, just as I am choosing it now." I felt the edges of my vision flickering, shifting between the world of light and dark. "And I choose to fight for my girls. Their spirits will not be held captive by your lies." With a surge of desperate energy, I reached deeper into the source of illumination within me, letting its warmth radiate outward. The light broke through the shrouded dark, igniting every corner with renewed hope. But even as the shadows retreated momentarily, I sensed something lurking beneath the surface, a chilling revelation that went beyond the mere shadows that surrounded me. Mommy Lila's voice broke through again, floating like a distant echo on the wind. Her tone was heavy, almost mournful. It's not just about what they've taken from us. My heart raced. What do you mean, sweet girl? What is it? I'm scared. She cried, her voice muffled as if torn between worlds. The shadows, they hold stories of ours we've forgotten. Secrets that once protected us, but now bind us. You must face them. What could she possibly be hinting at? I felt fear's icy grip tighten around my soul as the shadows twisted ominously at her words. I summoned the light within again, searching the darkness for hints of truth. Pieces of memories flooded back at me, snippets of hidden moments, whispers of forgotten demons that I had buried deep, thinking they would remain untouched. As I ventured deeper into the abyss, the shadows contorted, morphing into figures of memory, fragments that relayed dormant truths, the funeral flowers, the laughter that turned to silence, a promise once made and the fracture that followed. I staggered back, realizing these shadows weren't just the product of grief, they were echoes of my own failures, the haunting regrets that tethered me to my guilt. As recognition settled in the pit of my heart, one revelation struck me: darkness had woven itself from my own actions, my inability to confront the weight of my past. The shadows were no longer just external threats, they bore the burden of my inaction, my misjudgments, as if they were crafted from the depths of my own unresolved fears. No. I gasped, recoiling from my truths. You cannot avoid the truth. The entity roared, surging forth with vengeance as if seeking to consume me entirely. Everything you've always feared is now laid bare before you. Do you wish to confront it or remain trapped in denial? In that moment, Lila's voice broke through the tempest once more, this time louder, almost desperate. Mommy, I need you, but you must free yourself first. Only then can you save me. Every whisper of doubt shattered against the resonant love in her plea. The shadows flickered, drawing closer, threatening to swallow us whole. Somehow, amidst the chaos, I found clarity. I had to confront my past to light the path to our future. With all the strength I could muster, I faced the dark. I will not be bound any longer. I will not forsake the love we shared. I will face the pain. The shadows shrieked in tumult as light exploded from within, a dazzling kaleidoscope of memories flooding forward, each one a piece of our love, joy, and even sorrow, encased in the brightness of every moment we held dear. But as the dark surged, a different sort of looming weight crept into my consciousness, a chilling realization. The deeper I ventured into the echoes of regret, the more distant Lila's pleas became, her essence battling against the shadow's grip. Where are you, baby? I cried out, feeling Lila slip further away, my heart breaking anew. And then, as if the whole universe stopped, I heard a soft, anguished whisper, one that sent a horrific chill through my veins. Mommy, I can't hold on much longer. The shadows, they're pulling me in. You must hurry. The thought of losing her made my heart lurch. Stranding myself in fear was not an option, love demanded action. I am coming, Lila. I will fight my past, I will rush through the storm, hold on to me. But before I could rush forward, the shadows erupted, and a figure emerged from the darkness shrouded in veils of gray. It stood, the image blurring as I trembled at the sight. It is time to learn the truth, the entity whispered, its voice a mix of familiarity and loss. My breath hitched, heart pounding wildly, not only at the sight before me, but also in the fear of what awaited beyond those dark layers. Who are you? I stammered, a potent mix of dread and recognition tightening its grip on me. And as the figure stepped into the flickering light, a name spilled from my lips, causing tremors to ripple through my soul. Clara? No, my sweet girl, it replied with a haunting familiarity, not Clara. But someone you can no longer run from. As the figure loomed closer, shadows coiling around it like a shroud, my heart wrenched at the impossibility of its presence. This was not Clara, but the echoes of a different life, bitterly intertwined with my memories and regrets. Who are you? I demanded again, the tremor in my voice betraying my fear. What do you want from me? It's not what I want, but what you have chosen to hide, the figure murmured, its eyes glimmering with an unsettling mix of understanding and sorrow. You believe you can save Lila without addressing the truth buried within your soul. But the shadows are not just here to haunt you, they are reflections of your own heart, your unspoken fears and buried sadness. I felt a wave of anger surge within me, battling against the deep ache of despair that threatened to overwhelm my emotions. No. You don't understand. I'm doing everything I can to bring her back. I'm fighting for her. The figure drew closer, and I felt the air grow dense with the weight of memories I had long since chosen to forget. And yet, you are tethered to the very regrets that you try to suppress. You love Lila fiercely, but how can you fight for her if you are not brave enough to confront what you have lost? Clara was your light, but her absence has left you adrift. The storm of emotions raged inside me. The shadows pulsed and flickered, and for every whispered doubt I faced, I could feel my resolve weaken. Each word shared with me was wrapped in a truth I had avoided for far too long, the haunting melody that rang clearer than the cries of my daughter. Stop it! I screamed, desperate to drown out the echoes of my buried pain. You don't know what I've sacrificed. I lost Clara, and now I refuse to let Lila fall. You think this is sacrifice, the figure shot back, voice slicing through my desperation, but in reality, it's avoidance. Your grief has become a prison, and the shadows are the chains you forged yourself. Only by breaking these chains can you save Lila. As the words struck me, I felt another tremor ripple through the darkness. Deep within, I feared that my own heart carried the burden of failure, that perhaps I was trapped by my unaddressed emotions, that my pursuit had become a frantic escape from my own shattered past. No, I whispered, shaking my head. I can't accept that. I can't let go of Lil. Ash is not lost, isn't she? The figure raised its hand, revealing images swirling within the dark mist surrounding it. Lila as a child, playing under sunlight, Clara's laughter intertwined with her own, moments of tranquil joy before everything went dark. Each visual was a painful reminder of what I had lost, what I feared I may never reclaim. My chest tightened, and a disquieting realization seeped in. For every moment I clung to in denial, the shadows grew stronger, feeding off unacknowledged rancor. I can't. It's not about how you can or cannot, the figure interrupted softly. It's about facing the person you truly are, free from guilt and regret. The truth doesn't weaken, yet unveils the strength you never knew you had. Allow yourself to grieve Clara, and remember her love for you in its entirety. As the figure stepped aside, I caught glimpses of Clara's face reflected in the dark, her radiant smile, her unconditional love mingled with yearning. Each fragment weighed heavily on memories locked away in despair. Clara, my voice broke, and the shadows seemed to sway gently as if echoing my sorrow, my longing. I can't. I don't know how to face it. Embrace your heart, unshield your pain, the figure echoed Clara's whispers. Remember the love that will guide you. She is not truly gone, she is part of you still. Only through that love can you release your grief, and with it, save Lila. As the words sank in, my fear transformed into something almost tangible, slowly morphing from a numbing despair into a flicker of resolve. But just as I began to grasp this new sense of clarity, the shadows surged around me again. A chaotic swirl, filled with doubts, began to ripple and tear at my newfound hope. No. I shouted defiantly. I will not falter. I will face my truths. But as I gathered strength, the shadows lurched, trailing tentacle-like tendrils toward my heart. Within me, I felt a ferocious tug. Perhaps the shadows were not only drawn from my grief, but also from Lilith's essence within the cage of darkness that threatened us both. Mommy! Help! Her voice shrieked, thin and fragile, barely reaching me above the cacophony of shadowy despair. Stay, Lila! Hold on! I shouted, the weight of the moment bearing down on me as I fought against the shadow's pull. But even as I committed to challenging my past, I could feel Lila slipping deeper into the abyss. My heart ached with the thought of failing her. Let her go, the figure pleaded, and it will set you free. Set me free? I echoed, horrified. You can't be serious. But the shadows grew bolder, cocooning Lilith's voice and consuming her innocence. Mommy, I can't. It hurts. No. I cried, the shadowy hands strangling my resolve. I won't let you take her. The figure's face softened, merging with the shadows as if to implore me. Then choose. Claim your past, and in doing so, reclaim her. With every ounce of strength, I steeled myself against the twisted anguish and cast one last look at the flickering echoes of Clara, holding on to her memory like a lighthouse guiding me home. "I forgive you," I murmured to her image, a sob escaping my lips. "I will never forget you. I love you." And as the shadows shrieked in fury, there came forth a blinding light, a wave of warmth that sought to break the chains that held us captive. The echoes of my love crashed against the dark, and I reached forward, defiance coursing through my veins. But at that moment, a piercing scream sliced through the chaos, chilling my bones. "Mommy!" Lilith's voice broke through, raw with fear. "Help me! I can't hold on," an icy dread surged within me. The shadows battled against the emerging light, and the figure's once familiar face twisted into a mask of anguish. "You must, my sweet girl." All my resolve trembled as I felt Lila slipping further from my grasp. My heart sank under the weight of impending devastation as a wave of despair crashed over me. I stood at the precipice of an unbearable choice, one between facing my heart's demons or risking losing everything I fought for, and as I opened my mouth to shout Lilith's name, panic seized me. Shadows enveloped my vision, and a piercing chill of dread reverberated through my soul. "Lila, hold on." The shadows extended their icy fingers, wrapping around my heart, a realization dawning upon me that the true battle was just beginning. "Mommy." Her voice echoed one last time as the figure melted away, leaving me alone to confront the shadows. "Don't let me go." My final scream echoed in the dark, a shattered prayer hanging in the air, an unfinished plea that lingered like smoke. I had to make a choice now, before the shadows swallowed everything whole. I stood in the midst of shifting shadows, the ground beneath me swaying like a wild sea. My heartbeat thundered in my ears as Lilith's faint cries faded into the darkness, replaced by the gnawing silence of despair. "I can't give in," I cried out, my voice a desperate echo swallowed by the void. "Mommy," the whisper floated back to me, fragile and ethereal. I could almost feel her warmth slipping from my fingertips, and a visceral panic ignited within me. The darkness threatened to close in, a suffocating embrace that I feared would smother my resolve. Yet, amid the encroaching shadows, a glimmer of light caught my eye, faint and flickering like a distant star. I reached toward it instinctively, drawn by an urge buried deep within my heart. "Lila!" I shouted again, desperation clawing at the edges of my sanity. The light expanded, swirling into a vision of Clara standing before me, a beacon of hope amidst my turmoil. "Remember, love is your anchor," she said softly, though her voice was nearly lost in the cacophony of darkness. "You must take that love and channel it, not just for yourself, but for Lila. You can reach her." Shadows writhed at the edges of my vision, whispering my doubts back to me. "You can't save her," they taunted. "You've already failed. No." I gritted my teeth, my heart pounding with fierce determination. "You won't win. I won't let you take her from me. Do you know what you must do?" Clara's image shimmered with encouragement, her ethereal presence radiating warmth. "You have to summon the love you kept locked away. Your grief is vast, yes, but so is your capacity to love. Let that love break the hold of the shadows." The depths of my sorrow surged within me, a tidal wave of emotion threatening to pull me under once again. But as I closed my eyes, something inside flickered, a memory of Lilith's laughter, her tiny fingers wrapping around mine, the smell of her hair after a long day at the park. That love swelled to the forefront, carving away the chains of despair. "I love you, Lila," I cried, feeling those words rise like a mantra through the noise, infused with every ounce of strength I could muster. "I will not give up on you." The shadows recoiled momentarily, as if my words had pierced through their suffocating grip. I felt Clara's presence spreading through me, not as a haunting memory, but as a powerful force urging me to cast the darkness away. "Unleash your love, my dear." With that, I surged forward, focusing on the glimmer of Lilith's light flickering in the distance. "You are my everything. Your laughter brightens my days, and I refuse to be without you." The shadows shrieked in protest, writhing violently as if in agony. I could feel them pulling at my heart, attempting to drag me into their depths. But I stretched my arms wide, channeling every ounce of love I had, feeling it pulse through my veins, igniting my very soul. "Come back to me," I screamed, pouring all my pain and hope into that singular wish, thrusting it into the universe. "Come back, Lila. I won't let go." An overwhelming warmth enveloped me, wrapping around my heart like a tender embrace. The shadows shrank back, their hold loosening as the light surged forward, stronger than ever. It was pure, ethereal, a bond forged through love and unwavering hope, and then it hit Meth realization that this battle was not just an external conflict, but an internal one. I had fought against my demons long enough. It was time to accept the fracture in my soul, to weave together the love I carried for Lila and the grief I felt for Clara. As I accepted that love, I felt Clara beside me, her presence growing stronger, and together we illuminated the shadows more brightly than I had ever imagined. In that sacred moment, I knew what needed to be done. "Lila, my beautiful girl, I'm here." I called out, my voice carried the weight of 1,000 unspoken promises. "You are safe. Just follow my light." The shadows hissed, swirling chaotically, but the warmth rose up around me, growing ever brighter, pushing back the darkness inch by inch. I felt Lila's essence grasping onto the flickers of light I sent out, her spirit fighting against the coils of despair. But just as it felt like we were breaking free, the shadows surged with a newfound fury, grasping desperately at the remnants of our connection. A deafening roar filled the air, drowning out my awareness of everything but fear. "Mommy!" Lila cried out one last time, her voice pierced with desperation, and a haunting shudder coursed through me. With a final plunge of deep-seated darkness, I saw through the chaos a shocking revelation, a figure shrouded in shadows, pulling at the strings of this torment, its eyes locked onto mine. "You cannot hope to reclaim what was lost," the figure croaked, closing in, its twisted smile an omen of dread. "You must release the past or lose them both." In that terrifying moment, everything spiraled into chaos, and I felt myself on the brink of losing everything I held dear. The glow I had kindled flickered, threatened to extinguish against the overwhelming tide of despair. I stood at the edge, teetering between love and the shadows as new darkness loomed ahead of me, each heartbeat an echo of the very real fear that I might have to choose between the two I loved the most. I had fought through shadows, clawed at the veil of despair, and now here I was, on the cusp of a devastating choice that could shatter my world into irreparable pieces. Lila cried out again, her voice cracking under the weight of darkness suffocating her spirit. Desperation surged through me, blood pounding in my ears as the figure loomed closer, whispering insidious words that cut deeper than I could bear. "You never truly had them, did you?" it taunted, thrumming with cruel victory. "Your love was never enough. Release them, or watch them perish in the shadows of your broken heart." "No!" I screamed, summoning every ounce of resilience that lingered in the depths of my soul. Memories flickered through my mind, a kaleidoscope of laughter, warmth, and light igniting the darkness like fireworks bursting against the night sky. I could feel Clara beside me, a flicker of strength urging me onward, and within that moment, clarity washed over me like a tide. "No more," I declared, the pain of my past flooding into the present and reflecting against the walls of sorrow that had erected around my heart. "I will not lose Lila. I will not lose Clara. I will not lose myself." The figure recoiled slightly, agitated, and I took that as a thin sliver of hope. "Lila," I whispered, finding my voice once again. "I'm here. I will always be here. We will find our way back to each other." I refused to let the darkness dictate our fate. The shadows rippled as if agitated by my words, but they hesitated, allowing the warmth of my spirit to seep through their barriers. "I believe in you," I urged into the silence. "You are my light. You are everything worth fighting for." Lila's spirit flickered to the surface, and I could almost feel her energy reaching out as I fought to give her the strength she needed, strength I now recognized was ours to share, born out of love, pure and unyielding. "Mommy, I'm scared," she admitted, her voice threadbare, but within it lingered a feeble flicker of courage. "I know, sweetheart, but we are strong together." I inhaled deeply, plunging into the depths of my memories, letting the warmth of love radiate from my heart. "Let's remember our happiest moments, the way you danced in the rain, how the world felt when we were together, how our dreams intertwined." And with each word, I felt a shift. Shadows hesitated, recoiling in the face of something they could not comprehend. I concentrated on Lila, envisioning her bright smile illuminating the darkness that twisted around her once more. "Together," I breathed, heart synced to an ancient rhythm of love. "We will shatter their hold over you. They cannot have you." I stretched out my hands, weaving a tether of light between us, desperately hoping she could grasp onto it. "Mommy!" Lila cried, the force of her despair tugging at my heart. But I felt the connection strengthening, an anchor forged from love and hope, binding our spirits together. "Follow my voice, follow my heart," I coaxed, the shadows stirring around us in a frantic frenzy. "Take my hand, Lila. Let the love we share push through the dark, breaking the chains one by one." The darkness writhed, thrashing against the love, winding freer with every syllable I uttered. But just as it felt we were making progress, it turned, swirling violently, forming into an indistinguishable mass of grief and anger. "Love is just an illusion," it spat. "You cannot protect them. Stop!" I shouted, my voice firm. "You don't know the power of love." I focused on every cherished moment, the little girl giggling uncontrollably, the way her face glowed in the golden light of the sunset, the warmth of sipping hot chocolate together on cloudy afternoons while telling stories that would stir the very fabric of our reality, and as I relived those moments, the shadows weakened, flickering like a dying flame. Hope ignited in my chest, and as I pushed forward with the combined strength of every memory, something shifted. The shadows began to dissolve, luminescent traces stretching toward the light like flowers thirsting for the sun. "Lila, hold on," I urged, pouring everything I had into that connection, a fierce cry of maternal love that echoed through the void, reaching for my daughter's fragile spirit. "I will find you." As words tumbled from my lips, an overwhelming tide of warmth enveloped me, a rush that surged through my veins. I saw strands of Clara intertwining with my love, flickering as vibrant memories burst forth. It was then I realized this was not a battle between darkness and light, it was a reconciliation of past and present, a return to understanding and acceptance. "Lila," I called again, breathing in the strength of love and fighting through the shadows. "Trust in our bond. Trust in the magic woven between years, our laughter, our dreams. We can do this together." The figure shrieked, anger reverberating in the air as I summoned forth that illumination, pouring it into every fiber of my being, where Clara's essence formed a protective circle around us. "This is not the end," I declared, my voice resonating against time, fate, and everything that felt lost. "I will not allow you to trap what is meant to be free." With a triumphant surge, the shadows splintered and fractured, an explosion of dark and light intertwining, clashing against each other. And then I felt a shuddering warmth of Lila's spirit breaking through the chaos, a torrent of light that enveloped me, lifting me up. Her laughter echoed within the brilliance, illuminating the darkness that once held her captive. "Mommy!" Her voice danced through the air, crystalline and resolute. The darkness swirled, but the warmth, the power of our love pushed through in a final crescendo, illuminating the space around us until the shadows evaporated like morning mist before the sun. I felt Lila's spirit flourish, breaking free from the remnants of despair, spinning into an eternal embrace of love that felt overwhelming, and I held on tightly to that realization, finally, not just for Lila, but for Clara too, for all the sacrifices, the choices, and the love we once shared and would carry with us always. As darkness dissipated, I felt a palpable weight lift from my chest. The shadows receded. I could see Clara's light shimmering warmly alongside Lila's newfound strength, entwining together like sunbeams cutting through clouds. And with that clarity, I opened my eyes, finding myself back in the sterile room, the machine softly beeping while sunlight streamed through the window. Lila lay beside me, her small hand still resting within mine, but I could feel the spark of life coursing through her. "Mommy," she murmured, stirring against the sheets as her eyes fluttered open. "Lila, you're back." I wrapped her fragile form in my arms as tears of relief flooded my heart. "You're safe." As she gazed up at me, clarity shining through her dilated pupils, I saw Clara radiating love, illuminating the path ahead, illuminating the shadowy corners of my own grief, showing me that love endured through every struggle, resonated through every laugh, and would continue to guide us. In that moment of unyielding connection, I felt a profound sense of completion wash over me. I turned to my daughter, cradling her between my arms, her heartbeat resonating like a song, and whispered reverently, "No matter what, we will always find our way back to each other." The final threads of darkness surrendered, and as joy filled the room, I knew we were more than survivors, we were conquerors of light, of love, embracing each story etched within our hearts. And as Lila nestled against me, I felt a newfound strength bubbling to the surface, a realization that love wasn't only about holding on, it was also about letting go of the burdens we carried, allowing ourselves to bloom and forgive. Sometimes, the greatest act of courage is simply to remember to love with all our hearts, knowing that even through the darkest shadows, the bonds we nurture will always bring us back into the light. In that moment of clarity, I realized that even in vulnerability, we find the strength to become everything we were meant to be. As we clung together, I leaned closer and whispered the promise that had taken root in my heart, a whispered victory that resonated within the very fiber of existence. We are forever locked in the chains of love, never to be taken from one another again.